Hey, what's going on, fellas? How we doing? So today we're talking a little bit about hitting, and I really want to gear this video towards those players that are struggling, players that feel like they're not performing up to their talent level or capabilities. Whether you're in a slump, you can't figure out why you're not hitting the way you used to. Maybe you're a player that's never hit, whether you're young or old. Maybe you've been a good defender, but you can't figure it out offensively, and you don't know what to do. You're a guy that would probably have a chance to continue to move up, but offensively, it's just holding you back. Um, and I run into these type of players at all levels, whether it's 10 years old and they're not hitting and they don't know why, whether it's high school or college or indie ball or minor league. There's so many guys that I run into um, that are struggling. And when I say struggling, I don't mean you're hitting 100, but you're just not hitting as well as you think you can, right? There's more in the tank, and whether that's for hitting for a better average or hitting for more power or just being more consistent all around, um, and you really can't figure out, you can't put your finger on it, and no one's really been able to help you. You've gone to a bunch of hitting coaches, maybe your coaches on your team have tried to help, but no one has really said anything or done anything to really make a difference. In my experience dealing with these players, and I've been in these situations over my career as a player, but so many players are given advice that isn't really going to do anything. It's not going to make a big enough change. Uh, think about it for a minute. How many times, for those players that have struggled, when you're struggling, have you heard one of these phrases, right? Your hitting coach says, hey man, you just got to stay inside the ball more. That's your problem. You got to stay inside the ball. Or, you just got to get on top of the ball. You're struggling because you're hitting everything up and you're not staying on top of the ball. Or, hey, you got to get your foot down. You're late. And if you get your foot down, you'll become a great hitter. Or, you got to stay back. You're lunging. So, you got to stay back more. I think all of us, if we had $1 for every time we heard one of those four phrases, and there's so many more, but if we had $1 for every one of those phrases, we'd all be probably multimillionaires right now. Because that's usually what the advice is. It's one of those things, or it's something very, very similar to it. And again, in my experience, those things aren't going to make a big enough difference, especially if you are struggling. Um, and my goal and what I really tried to do over the years um, is to take players and figure out, why are they struggling? And it almost always comes back to the swing. And it's not as easy or simple as a fix as telling someone to stay inside the ball or get on top of the ball or get your foot down or stay back, which I don't even agree with most of those phrases anyway. But it's not that simple. I'm talking about taking a swing and rebuilding it, right? Rewiring it um, from the ground up so that we're able to teach the player how to move their body totally differently than they're already doing. You're going to move your body in the proper sequence so that you can move the barrel the proper way to create more bat speed and to create a better path to the ball, which is going to lead to much more consistency and much more power, right? And so again, it's not a simple fix. It's not a stay inside the ball. It's not a get your foot down, but it's actually completely rewiring the body um, to move differently. And so that's what I really talk to our hitters about, any hitter that I work with, but in particular players that, like I said, are struggling and they can't figure out why. And most times, it's almost every time, it's because their body isn't working the proper way. It's not working on the proper sequence. the path is not optimal, right? And there's a bunch of different things that could be happening, um, but it's not the path is not able to work the way you want it, and it's because usually the body's not moving in the proper fashion or in the proper sequence, like I said, um, and it's going to cause you to struggle. And so we take players, and sometimes you have to completely blow up the swing, blow up everything that you're doing. Many times it's blowing up everything you've been taught, um, because most players have been taught those things I talked about before. And for most players, if you're going to try to get your foot down early and get on top of the ball and inside the ball and stay back and all these things, um, it's going to be very difficult to hit. And so, I really want to make this video, and a lot of the things that we talk about, I've thrown up in videos before. But if you're one of those guys that feels like you need something more, and those 4 phrases are not doing it for you, which my guess is that's most people out there, then let me know. Shoot me an email, matt@antonellibaseball.com. Comment in the section below. And let's see if we can figure out a way to help you, to fix you. If you're a local guy, I'm based in the Massachusetts area. I'm just north of Boston, about 20 minutes. So if you're a guy that can get to me, if it's within driving distance, then we can work one-on-one. If you're somebody that's not local and you live in California, and you need help, let me know and we'll work online. But I get so many emails from players that are struggling and they don't know why. And I want to try to help rebuild your swing so that you're going to have more consistency, more power. And I'm not saying that you won't ever struggle again, because nobody hits 1,000, right? But we're going to make those times when you're not hitting much shorter in duration. So it's not going to last weeks, and hopefully it won't last a bunch of days. But you will be much more even-keeled, much more consistent. You'll hit for more power, will create more bat speed, and hopefully get those guys that were once hitting again. And for those guys that feel like they've never hit, to try to teach them something new and get them to hit finally. So let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to work with you. Like I said, shoot me an email, comment in the section below, whatever's the easiest way to get a hold of me, and hopefully I can help you guys out. So thank you very much. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with all your friends, all that good stuff,